Hey guys, we're back with the notes for 6.6. Today we're going to be writing a quadratic equation. So an ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. But we're going to do that using 3 points. So if I'm going to give you 3 points like x comma y, and you're going to tell me the parabola equation that makes those 3 points or that goes through those 3 points. Okay? So I'm going to have you pause the screen for just a second, copy down kind of the fill in the blanks right here. Perfect. You should have that copied down now. The steps, we're not going to super talk through them. I'm going to explain them as we're going. Second thing I want you to do is pause the screen right here and copy down the setup. Please make sure you write this guy really small so that we can fit everything on there. Problem 2, I just need space here to write. So again, pause the screen, make sure you have all of that written down. Awesome. And then the final thing I want you to write down is when you guys do the assignment in class, or if you're remote and you're doing it at home, you only have 3 homework assignments or practice problems. I need you to know that the first one has to be solved algebraically. I'll show you one of those. The bottom 2, if you want to do matrix, you can. So the number challenge one, you can solve it however you want, but I am going to make you solve number 1 algebraically. Number 2 can be solved with a matrix. Okay? All right, let's go through problem 1 first of all so I can explain all these steps to you. All right, first of all, we are going to have to start by understanding what we have. Right now, I have x's and y's. Okay, I don't know anything about a's, b's, or c's. So I'm going to start by plugging those x's and y's into my main equation that I'm starting with. And that is this guy. Okay, so if I plug in that first point, I'm plugging in 1 for all of the x's and a 3 for the y. If I simplify that out, my coefficients, which are the numbers that are blue, those are going to be applied and they're going to move in front of the a, b, c. So if I do 1 squared, that's 1. So my answer is 1a, or just a, plus 1b, or just b, plus c equals 3. That's my first equation that's going to be going towards my solving. Okay? Same thing for the second point. So we're plugging in 2 comma 1. So 2 for all of the x's and 1 for the y. If I simplify that out, 2 squared is 4. So I have 4a, 2 and b makes 2b, plus c equals 1. For the bottom one, I'm plugging in my last point, negative 2 for all the x's and a 15 for my y. So negative 2 squared is again 4a. Negative 2 and b makes minus 2b, plus c equals 15. That's the first set. We have to get our 3 equations. Okay? We're going to go back to when we were solving these with substitution, elimination, that kind of thing. So remember, we're going to have to find a way to eliminate the same variable from 2 different equations. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these 2 together, and then I'm going to multiply the top one with, let's see which one I did, with these 2 in order to eliminate the b. Okay, so my goal is to eliminate b's right now. So I'm going to change colors so you know I am moving on to the next topic. All right, if I put the top 2 together and I cancel the b's, that means I have to understand that I'm multiplying this guy by a negative 2. So let's look at that. That's negative 2a minus 2b minus 2c equals a negative 6. And I'm going to put that with the middle equation. So 4a plus 2b plus c equals 1. We already said that we're trying to eliminate the b's. So we have 2a minus 1c equals a negative 5. Okay? All right, so that was the top 2. Now I'm going to put the bottom 2 together because they already eliminate right here. Okay? So if I do 4a plus 2b plus c equals 1, and 4a minus 2b plus c equals 15. Again, we already said the b's cancel, but I have 8a and 2 c's equals 16. Okay? We have one last step. I'm going to change colors one more time, and that is to put these 2 equations together and try to make something cancel. Now, I could multiply by 4 and get the a's to cancel out, but I think it's easier to work with smaller numbers. So since I already have a negative c, I'm just going to multiply this guy by 2 making him cancel out the c's. So we're going to go 4a minus 2c equals a negative 10. Keeping the other one, so 8a plus 2c equals 16. When my c's cancel out, it makes it really easy to get a. So 12a equals 6. Divide by 12. I have my first answer. My a is a 1/2. Not a beautiful answer, but it could be worse. All right, when I get my a, remember we go backwards. So if I have the orange answer starting out, I have to go back to my purple equation. So if I go back to purple, I can pick any equation I want. I'm probably going to pick this guy because he's the easiest. And I'm going to plug him back in. So we've got 2 times that 1/2. And again, that's the a value I found. Minus c equals a negative 5. 2/2 is a 1. So 1 minus c equals a negative 5. Subtract 1 from both sides gives me negative 6. That means that a positive c would be a positive 6. All right, so I have my purple now. Now we're going to plug both of those back into one of the original equations. I would always encourage you to go back to the one that looks the easiest. So I'm going to go back to this blue guy up here. All right, last time we're plugging in. So we know 1/2 plus b plus 6 equals 3. Okay, if you want to do with fractions, that's fine. You could say fractions. If you want to go decimals, that's fine. But basically, I'm going to subtract 6 away first. So 1/2 plus b equals a negative 3. And then if I subtract half again, I get minus 3.5. I'm going to leave it as negative 7 over 2, though. Okay? Here's what an answer looks like when you finally get the a, b, and c. We are going to take that whole thing back and make a quadratic equation. So we're going to go back to this guy and plug in a, b, and c. So my a is a 1/2 x squared. My b was the minus 7 over 2x, and my c was 6. We get to just use the variable equals y. So again, this was my c. Oops. I did that wrong. All right, I can't move that. Let me just undo it real quick. This was my C, this was my B, and this was my A. Okay? If you need to pause that for just a second, hopefully you were able to fit that all into that blank. We're going to move on to last question here. All right, so if you remember from 6.5, we learned that matrix are way easier to work with as far as solving. They don't require as much work, but they do require access to a calculator. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for these. We're plugging in x's and y's to start with. So that first one, my x's are going to be -4. And my y is 66. So 4 squared is 16, so 16a minus 4b plus c is 66. Second equation, I have 0 for the x's and -2 for the y. So we don't have any a's and we don't have any b's. All we have is c equals -2, which you could kind of just go ahead and put that down here, I guess, if you want to. And then final one, we have 1 for the x's and -4 for the y. So 1 squared is 1, so 1a, 1 in b is just 1b, plus c equals a -4. Okay. We're going to move that straight into making my coefficients for my matrix. So first column is going to be my a. So I have 16, 0, and 1. Okay, we're going to go to the next column, which is all about the b's. So I have a -4, a 0, and a 1. I'm going to go to my c's. That gives me 1, 1, and 1. Nothing fancy there. And finally, I go to my equal numbers, which are 66, -2, and a -4. All right, I'm not going to pull up the calculator, but you would put that straight into a calculator just like I showed you on Desmos or just like we've talked about on the Inspire. And we're going to put it into reduced row echelon form. That's zeros on the diagonal. When you do that, you're going to get the answers 3, -5, and a -2. That right there is your A, your first variable, B, your second variable, C, your third variable. We already knew the -2 was my C, but now I'm going to put the A for 3x squared, the B is minus 5 with the x, and then -2 is my C. If you'd like to pause that, copy everything down, make sure you got it. That is the end of our notes. Remember, you do have 2 problems to do for your assignment. I don't care how you do the challenge, but problem 1 needs to be solved algebraically. Problem 2, you may solve it with a matrix.